You lie still, the weight of your thoughts gently dissolving into the hush of night. The room grows quiet, and the boundary between waking and dreaming begins to blur. In that slow, silken space between you drift not inward, but outward, out beyond the cradle of your planet, out past the moons and orbits of wandering rocks, past the whispers of comets with long, snowy tails. You arrive at the edge of the star. Not just any star, this one feels ancient. It burns not just with heat, but with memory. You can feel it. Each flicker in its fire is a moment, a sunrise on a forgotten planet, a long-extinct civilization's last glimpse of sky, the quiet birth of a satellite. The star breathes in light and flings it outward like a lullaby, but something here feels slower. Time is different near the edge. Gravity, the unseen hand of the universe, reaches out and gently pulls on you. Not harshly, just enough for you to feel its presence, like the brush of fabric against skin. It asks nothing, demands nothing. It simply is. You float there for a while, watching how space bends near this massive heart of fire. Light does not travel in straight lines here. It curves, like thought meandering before sleep. It stretches out, softened at the edges, reluctant to let go. The closer you drift toward the surface, the more you feel the warping of time. A second here might stretch into minutes far away. Time, you realize, is not a river, but a tapestry, and the star pulls on every thread. You remember what light is, not just brightness, but messenger, the silent envoy of stars, the record keeper of the cosmos. And here, on the star's fringe, that messenger stutters. Its pace slows. Its voice turns quiet, as if hesitating to speak the next word. You wonder what would happen if you moved even closer. And so you do. Now, space itself feels different, denser, heavier, yet soft, like fog just before dawn. You imagine yourself not falling, but folding, becoming part of the curve. This is not a place of chaos, as some believe. It is a place of deep stillness. A pause. Light around you becomes more fragile, more stretched. Its colors turn to whispers, red, then crimson, then something your eyes don't quite know how to name. You are watching memory move at the speed of time, and then you notice something stranger. The light here isn't just leaving the star. Some of it tries to return, as if it remembers something unfinished, as if it's searching for a way back to its source. That idea lingers in your mind. That light might have longing, that the universe, in its deepest folds, remembers softly. Your body doesn't exist here as it does on Earth. You are a presence, a listener, a watcher. You feel no fear, only awe. The silence is immense, but not empty. It holds something, potential, perhaps, or a secret. You let yourself sink further into this silence, deeper now, and with each drift, gravity becomes not a force, but a guide. Space folds more noticeably, like petals of a vast flower closing inward. You've reached the event horizon, the place where even light cannot escape. But to you, it doesn't feel like an end. It feels like a doorway. There's no violence here, no sharp edges, only a gentle veiling of what lies beyond. The universe does not shout here. It whispers. You think of how scientists describe this region, a black hole, a place where gravity is so strong that nothing, not even light, can leave. But those are just words. Here, in this moment, you feel something else entirely. You feel remembering. It's not that time has stopped. It's that time has changed shape, become rounder, slower, more intimate. You wonder if the universe keeps its most delicate thoughts here, tucked away from the brightness, where light slows to a crawl and space cradles it close. You ask a quiet question, though you don't know what it is, and you receive a quiet answer, though you don't yet understand it. It arrives not in language, but in feeling. The past is not erased. It is folded, layered, held in the curves of gravity and light. And perhaps, just perhaps, it is still there. You begin to realize a black hole may not be a void, but a vault, a place where the universe stores memory it can't bear to lose. You think of all that might be held in that darkness. The final flare of dying stars, the drifting sighs of planetary dust, the fingerprints of light itself. And as you hover there, balanced on the edge of unknowable gravity, a thought blooms in your mind. If the universe remembers, then maybe so do you. Not just facts and moments, but feelings. The pull of someone's voice, the warmth of a memory not quite named, the dreams you forgot but still shaped you. Maybe those things are never truly lost. Maybe they fall inward, like light, waiting to be found again. The star behind you still burns, sending out new light. You feel the weight of the cosmos, not heavy, but full. So full must fold inward to keep from spilling over. You close your eyes, though they were never quite open. You listen, and you wonder if the past is stored in the silence. Could something else emerge from it? You drift, weightless in the hush that follows your visit to the edge of light. The silence has not ended, it has deepened. Like slipping beneath still water, you feel time slow and soften around you. You are not moving fast, yet the universe unfolds ahead like a story gently turning its own pages. You are drawn to star, not the blazing kind that warms planets and kindles day, but an elder, a giant swollen with age and memory. It pulses in the quiet dark like a breath held too long. Once it was young, a massive furnace, spinning atoms into light. Hydrogen danced in its core, pressing inward, fusing, igniting. It shone so fiercely that even its own gravity could not pull it inward. But that was long ago. Now, it has burned for millions of years. It has lit skies on distant worlds you'll never know. It has whispered warmth to moons that orbit gas giants in silent rings. And in that burning, it has changed. Because that is what stars do. They give, and in giving, they grow heavier. Each time the star fused lighter atoms into heavier ones, it built up layers inside itself, like a tree adding rings or a heart collecting unspoken words. And at the center, the weight of it all gathered. Iron, dense and silent, begins to fill its core, the end of fire's path. Iron cannot ignite. It does not give back energy the way lighter elements do. It sits still, heavy, unwilling. It is a memory the star cannot burn away. And so one day, not with a cry, but with a stillness, the balance tips. Gravity, patient and persistent, returns. The star begins to collapse. You imagine it like the closing of a great eye. Not suddenly, but all at once. The outer layers fall inward, rushing toward the dense core, in a final act of surrender. The star folds on itself like a sigh too long held. And in that moment, that blink of cosmic time, something extraordinary happens. The collapsing layers slam into the unmovable core and rebound outward in a flash. A supernova. You see it not as an explosion, but as release. A final gift. A star's way of scattering itself into the universe. All the elements it made, all the stories it carried, flung outward into the waiting dark. Calcium in your bones, iron in your blood, gold on your ring, all forged in a star's final breath. You are quite literally made of stardust that thought hums through your chest like a lullaby from the cosmos. But not all the stars released. At the very center, something remains, too heavy to escape, too dense to shine. It collapses beyond what sight can hold, beyond where time flows evenly. The matter folds inward, deeper and deeper, until the fabric of space itself curves around it. This is the birth of a black hole. And you are there, not outside at this time, but near its origin, close enough to feel the gravity take shape, slow and gentle like a hand closing. You don't see it form. You feel it, the pause, the inward hush, the transformation of a shining giver into a silent keeper. It is not death, it is change. You drift nearby, watching the remains of the supernova settle into silence. Dust and gas swirl, some escaping into interstellar space, some circling the black hole in glowing spirals, an accretion disk. It turns slowly, like thoughts around forgotten memory. You see the way the light bends near it. How even photons, those speed-laced messengers, cannot resist the inward pull. Time itself changes shape here, curling inward, wrapping around something you cannot see. And again you wonder, is this an end or something else? The black hole is invisible, but not absent. It leaves marks in space. Its gravity touches distant stars. Its influence sings through nearby gas. Some scientists call it singularity, a point where the known laws no longer hold. But you, lying in the stillness of thought, call a beginning folded into an ending. You begin to understand. The universe does not rush. It builds slowly, collapses gently, waits patiently. It makes room for endings, not to erase them, but to grow from them. This black hole, born from a star too heavy to hold itself, is not chaos. It is order rearranged, a library of memory in a different form. You feel how quiet it is, not silent, exactly, more like a breath between notes. And in that breath, you begin to imagine what happens next. For even in the dark, things still move. Some black holes spin, some collide, sending out ripples through space-time gravitational waves. You'll follow those in time. But for now, you simply rest beside this one, watching the way it holds the memory of a star. There is no fear here, no falling, only a deep, soft pull, like sleep calling you inward. You wonder what happens to time inside the black hole. Does it freeze, stretch, loop back around? No one truly knows. Not yet, but you do know this. From the death of one star, billions of atoms are scattered, and from those atoms, other stars will form, other worlds, other watchers, perhaps even you, someday, in some other shape. You float in that thought, a slow orbit around a gravity that holds more than matter. It holds a truth that even collapse is creative. Even darkness contains structure. Even the end of light is not the end of the story. You feel the warmth of that paradox settle into your bones. And just before the chapter closes in the soft turning of thought, you glimpse something else, not in the black hole itself, but in the pattern of how they live, how they grow, how they merge, how they drift, as if the universe, in its vast, quiet intelligence, is building something, something larger than stars, something made from their depths. You close your eyes and drift deeper toward that next question. There's a quiet place in the universe where falling never stops. You begin to drift, gently, not with the speed of panic, but with the grace of surrender. The kind of falling that doesn't feel like danger, but like release. You are pulled, slowly, toward a place where gravity becomes a whisper that turns into a song, low and long, like a hum felt more than heard. This is the edge of a black hole, the event horizon, a boundary not made of stone or steel, but of silence, a place where the rules of time and space fold softly inward, as if the universe takes a breath and holds it. You don't feel fear, just curiosity, wrapped in stillness. The light around you begins to stretch. The stars that once blinked like playful eyes now smear across the sky, like brushstrokes of memory drawn across a vast canvas. Time begins to ripple, not in sudden bursts, but in long, lazy waves. It feels like walking through honeyed air, each thought slower, thicker, softer. As you approach the horizon, you notice something strange. Time, your oldest companion, begins to behave differently. To someone far away, watching you fall, you would seem to slow down. Your body, your breath, your every blink, all suspended, caught in a graceful pause. From their eyes, you never truly fall in. But from your own place inside the fall, you continue to move, gently, endlessly. It's like reading a book where each page takes a little longer to turn. Not because the story is dull, but because you want to savor every word. The space around you curves inward. It no longer stretches flat and predictable, but curls gently, like petals closing for night. You think of time like a ribbon now, soft, floating. At the horizon, it begins to fray. It no longer runs forward like it used to. It begins to turn inward, looping back on itself, spiraling towards something unknown. The gravity here is immense, but it doesn't feel heavy. It feels inevitable, like the pull of sleep after a long day, like returning home. Inside, the mass of the black hole presses space so tightly that nothing, not even light, can climb out. But what does that mean, really? Does light get trapped, like a note held forever in a quiet room? Or does it vanish, as if it never was? And what about you? You wonder what it feels like to cross that line, to fall past the horizon. Would it hurt? Or would it feel like stepping to the soft skin of a dream? Scientists tell you that beyond this edge, all paths lead inward, like walking into a valley from which there is no return. But they also tell you this: physics becomes strange here, equations twist, certainties blur. The closer you fall, the less the universe agrees on what happens next. To the universe, you're frozen at the edge. But to you, the journey continues, slowly, infinitely, inward. Your heartbeat becomes a metronome in syrup. Your thoughts stretch, expand, and bloom in the deepening dark. And still you fall. What lies inside the black hole? Is it a point, a singularity, infinitely small and dense, where space folds into nothing? Or is it something more poetic, a seed waiting to blossom in another universe? Some scientists imagine that black holes may be bridges, tunnels not to destruction, but to rebirth, that what goes and may go somewhere else, carried across the fabric of reality like a message in a bottle tossed into a cosmic sea. But no one knows. No signal has ever returned. It is a place where answers fall quiet, where questions, too, begin to soften. And yet, as you drift toward that unknowable center, you don't feel alone. You feel held. Maybe the universe remembers everything that falls in, not as loss, but as a kind of memory, a slow, silent archive where moments matter and meaning are kept in deep time. You think of an old library dusted in twilight, each fallen star book, each collapsing moment a whisper stored in infinite shelves. You wonder in the stillness if falling forever means you stop moving, or if you become part of something larger that is still unfolding. And then a question rises from the silence. If the universe can hold so much, even things we cannot see, can it hold time too? Can it carry the past forward in ways we do not yet understand? Maybe the black hole is not forgetting. Maybe it's remembering in a language we cannot yet speak. And just as your thoughts begin to quiet, a glimmer appears in your mind, not a light exactly, but a possibility that this place, this quiet place where everything falls in, might be hiding something delicate, not just the gravity of collapse, but the strange hidden shape of time itself. You drift now toward the quiet edge of the unknowable, a place not of noise or fire, but profound stillness. The event horizon does not announce itself. It has no edges you can touch, no colors to distinguish it from the space around it. And yet it is real as the silence between heartbeats, as real as the pause between breaths. It is the boundary where physics lets go, a place where light, once it crosses, cannot return. You float closer in your mind, tracing it like you might trace the outline of a dream you barely remember. This is not a wall, not a fence. It's more like a horizon of understanding, a border where time and space fold inward. Imagine approaching a shore where the ocean pours upward, curling into the sky, and you cannot see what lies beyond, only feel its pull. This invisible line, this event horizon, is not marked with danger. It does not burn or resist you. It simply exists, a boundary written into the rules of the universe. A star that once burned bright has collapsed into such density that it has pulled even the fabric of space around it inward. The result is a place where gravity holds everything, even the future, captive. If you shine a light at this edge, it never returns. Not because it is broken, but because the path out is forever uphill. A hill so steep that light itself can't climb it. And so you sit just outside that border, listening. Here, time begins to behave like warm wax, stretching and softening. A single second for you may stretch into hours, days, even lifetimes for someone far away. To an outside observer, your descent would appear to slow and then stop, as if you frozen just shy of the horizon, pause like punctuation in a story that no longer moves forward. But from your own perspective, nothing stops. You fall gently, seamlessly, unresisting. You feel no jolt, no threshold, no alarm. You simply drift past a place where return is no longer possible. Not because something denies you, but because the paths themselves have changed direction. Imagine a hill so steep, that every road now leads down. That's what gravity becomes here. Even time becomes a one-way flow. The moments behind you begin to close like petals at dusk, and the ones ahead stretch wide and deep, but only in one direction. In Inside this horizon, all roads converge. No matter how you twist or turn, you will move only deeper, not faster, just forward, through space that bends around you like a tunnel of soft velvet. You think of light now, the ancient storyteller of the cosmos. For billions of years, it has traveled freely, painting the tales of stars, bouncing off moons, escaping the fire suns. But here its journey ends. Not in pain, not in silence, but in transformation. Because even though light cannot leave, it still exists, still dances inside. And maybe, in ways you do not yet understand, it still tells stories. Some physicists believe that the information light carries, its pattern, its fingerprint, might not truly vanish. They wonder if it's etched somehow into the horizon itself, like ripples on a pond that remember the stone. This is one of the universe's most intimate secrets. Does a black hole erase the past? Or does it fold it inward, tucking every photon, every particle, into a memory too deep for us to reach? You imagine this horizon not as a door closing, but as a library, vast, shadowed, and silent, a place where everything that falls in is not lost, but carefully stored in a language we don't yet speak. Here, your thoughts begin to feel like they are coated in mist. Each one drifts more slowly, more softly. Time thickens like honey, and your awareness stretches thin, not in fear, but in wonder. You imagine yourself standing on the shore of a black sea under starlight. The event horizon is a place where the sea ends, not the end of the world, but the beginning of something so curved, so folded, that it simply refuses to be seen. If you place a feather just at the edge, it hovers there, not falling, not flying, held in a delicate pause. You too are in that pause now, balanced on the edge of knowing. In this moment, you realize this border isn't cruel. It's quiet, yes, but not cruel. It's a silence so complete that it feels like listening, a kind of sacred stillness. You reach out, not with hands, but with thought. You wonder what it feels like to fall across that line. You wonder what happens not to your body, but to the story of you, your light, your pattern, your memory. Does the universe forget you at the horizon, or does it hold on? Some believe that black holes are not ends, but bridges, that what falls in here may emerge somewhere else, changed but not destroyed. They call these places wormholes or portals or echoes across dimensions. The event horizon then becomes more than a barrier. It becomes a question, the kind whispered late at night when the stars are bright and the world is quiet. Can something vanish and still be real? You sit with this thought, breathing in the weightless hush of unknowing. You let it settle into you like stardust. Somewhere deep within, you sense that this question is not the end, only a beginning. You float now not just at the edge of a black hole, but at the edge of understanding itself. The horizon is not just out there. It's inside you, too, a place where mystery begins. Perhaps that's why we're drawn to these cosmic borders. Not because we seek answers, but because we are made of questions. And here, on this gentle edge of gravity and time, one question remains. If light cannot leave, does it find another way to shine? At the center of the black hole, gravity speaks in a language no one hears. Everything is drawn into one point, silent, invisible, infinitely small. It is not darkness, but compression, the gathering of all things into one breath. Does the universe hold its deepest truths in this impossible place? You drift now, slowly, toward a point that does not look like a point at all. It has no shape, no edge, no color you can name. And yet it waits. The singularity, the heart of the black hole, a place not made of matter, but collapse itself. Here, all roads converge, not because they must, but because they have no other choice. You do not feel panic. There's no violence here, no tearing or crashing, only stillness, a stillness so dense it folds the very concept of place into silence. Everything that was all direction, all motion, all space, slows and swirls inward, and you go with it, not as a body, but as a thought drifting into deeper thought. Imagine standing in a great library where every book collapses into a single letter, every memory, every pattern, every echo of light and mass, pressed together into one point too small to see, too full to name. That is the singularity. It is not a place that contains something. It is a place that contains everything. So tightly wrapped that even time folds under its weight. You try to picture it, but your mind finds only metaphors. A seed holding a forest, a sigh containing a storm, a single note that once held an entire symphony. And yet, these are shadows, gentle attempts to understand something that resists understanding. Gravity here is not like the pull you feel on Earth. It is a whisper that becomes a roar only in its absence. You do not fall in the traditional sense. You are simply drawn not toward a destination, but toward a collapsing of meaning. In this place, the laws of physics, the ones you've always trusted, begin to blur. Mass becomes infinite. Space-time warps so tightly it folds over itself. Cause and effect no longer walk hand in hand. What came first may not matter anymore. What follows may never come. Time doesn't stop, it unravels. And yet you remain, not as a person with breath and skin and bones, but as awareness itself, observing from within the collapse. You begin to wonder if this is the opposite of explosion, not a birth, but returning, not creation, but memory made dense. Einstein tried to describe this place with equations. Hawking tried to warm it with paradox. But even their wisdom paused here, bowing at the edge of the unknowable. Does the singularity erase? Or does it preserve? Is it a great forgetting? Or a cosmic whisper of everything that ever was? Perhaps it's both, or neither, or something language can't hold. In this silence, a strange calm settles. There's no up or down, no front or back. You are inside the moment before anything happens. A breath drawn but never exhaled. A question asked but not yet answered. And yet you feel something else. A pressure like possibility swelling, like something waiting to bloom, or to burst, not in destruction, but in rearrangement. Some scientists believe singularities may be tunnels, gateways to other regions of the universe, or even, perhaps, to other universes altogether, where the laws you've known are reshaped, where constants are not constant, where another kind of light may bloom, one you've never seen. You picture it now, the singularity not as a dead end, but as a doorway made of everything folded into one point. It is, perhaps, the universe in meditation, still, dense, and inward-looking, breathing in everything, but not yet breathing out. And so you wait with it. You wait as the stars behind you vanish. You wait as your sense of self melts into pure attention. You wait, not for escape, but for understanding. And the thought comes gently. If this is what the end looks like, could it also be the beginning of something else? The singularity keeps its secret, not out of cruelty, but because some truths aren't told. They are simply held, and held, and held, until the moment the universe decides to whisper again. Perhaps it already has. In another place, in another form, beyond the fold, you wonder now, if the singularity is a silence too deep for sound, then what comes next when silence begins to stir? You're drifting now, slowly, soundlessly, as if weight and direction have lost all meaning. The boundary has long passed. The event horizon behind you like a memory you can't quite place. Here, inside the black hole, there's no up or down, no here or there. There's only inward, only deeper, only stranger. And time, the steady rhythm you've always known, begins to lose its shape. You were born into a universe where time flows like a gentle stream, forward, always forward, carving valleys of memory. You mark it with birthdays and sunsets, with the slow curling of leaves in autumn and the winding hush of evening. But here, within the grip of infinite gravity, that stream becomes something else. Time slows, then halts, then melts into something you cannot name. You float through it like a thought, half formed, half felt. Clocks wouldn't tick here. Their gears would stall, their hands frozen in place, unsure which direction to point. A second becomes a century collapses into a breath. Einstein once imagined this very place. He saw how gravity and time are woven together, threads in the same invisible fabric. And in a black hole, that fabric folding upon itself, like a curtain drawn shut around a secret. The closer you drift toward the center, the tighter the fabric stretches. Time is pulled taut, stretched to the brink of vanishing. To someone watching from outside, you would seem to freeze at the edge. They would never see you fall in, just a still image, caught forever at the horizon. But from your point of view, here, now, you fall, you move, you are. And inside, time is still with you, just different. It doesn't flow. It coils. It spirals inward like smoke. Moments no longer follow one another. They press together, layered like pages glued into a single, unreadable book. The past is not behind you. It is beside you, beneath you, whispering to the folds of this darkened space. You try to think of the memories that brought you here, but they shimmer like reflections on disturbed water. Did they happen before this moment, or are they happening now? Again, always? Here, cause and effect play a new game. A star explodes, and its echo arrives before the sound. A particle dances with itself before it's even born. And you begin to understand, time isn't broken here. It is only free from the rules you once trusted. In the outer universe, time was a metronome, a ticking certainty. In here, time is a soft breath, a curved path, a dream that loops upon itself. You reach for a metaphor, something to hold on to. Perhaps it is like standing in a mirrored room, each reflection of you repeating infinitely, but none of them moving in quite the same way. Perhaps each you sees time slightly differently. And so the question arises, if time inside a black hole can bend and fold and pause, then what becomes of the past? Can it be erased? Does this place, so heavy, so compressed, swallow the story of everything that entered? Stephen Hawking once wondered this too. He asked if information, the details of every particle, every flicker of memory, might vanish here, lost forever to singularity. But physics rebels at this idea. The universe doesn't like to lose information. Even when things seem destroyed, their echo, their imprint must remain. So where do these echoes go? Do they cling to the surface like frost on glass? Or are they written into the curves of space itself? Some believe time becomes a wall here, not one that blocks, but one that holds. That inside, all of time might exist at once, wrapped into singularity, never gone, only unreachable. And so you float through time's strange dimension. You feel both ancient and newborn, as if you existed always and never at all. You think of your childhood, of a breeze through summer grass, of the color of light through your bedroom curtains. You wonder, is that moment still happening somewhere inside this strange place? Is it preserved, curled into the folds of the singularity, or has it unraveled into silence? You are not afraid. The darkness here is gentle, like nightfall in a forest. It wraps around you, not to smother, but to cradle. Time sighs beside you, not lost, just sleeping differently. And so you begin to imagine time not as a line, but as a garden, a place where moments grow and bloom, not in rows, but in clusters, some near, some far, all rooted in a soil you cannot see. You drift through this garden, brushing petals of memory, the laughter of someone you once loved, the taste of something sweet, the pause between two heartbeats, each moment still here, still real, still waiting. And now, with a quiet heart, you begin to ask yourself, if time is this fluid, could it ever move backward? Could we step into the garden not as visitors, but as caretakers, pruning, planting, returning? Could there be a doorway, some theoretical loophole, where the arrow of time folds back into itself and history breathes again? Is there a path inside this darkness that leads not to the end, but to another beginning? A quiet voice from our own world, Stephen Hawking, spoke of soft radiation. He imagined black holes glowing, ever so gently, until they vanish into mist. You pondered this fading, how even the darkest things might dissolve over time. And in their vanishing, what stories do they leave behind? Full chapter body, 1,300 words. The universe has a way of keeping its secrets behind locked doors, but sometimes a single whisper slides through the cracks. In the quiet hush of deep space, far from any star's embrace, you find yourself floating near the edge of an ancient mystery. A black hole, still and immense, wrapped in silence, so deep it seems untouched by time. It does not speak, it does not move, and yet something delicate escapes it. You listen. The whisper is not sound but science, a ripple, faint and warm, escaping the very place from which nothing should return. This is the echo Hawking heard. Stephen Hawking, a mind bound of fragile body, saw further into the abyss than most could ever dream. He peered at black holes not just as prisons of light, but as places that breathe, slowly, faintly, exhaling a soft radiation born of the fabric of space itself. He called it Hawking radiation. Imagine the vacuum near the event horizon. You may think of emptiness, but in quantum fields, emptiness is never empty. Particles blink in and out of being, like bubbles at the bottom of a quiet pond, rising from stillness without source. Usually these particle pairs, one matter, one antimatter, appear and disappear together, a perfect dance of opposites that leaves nothing behind. But near the edge of a black hole, something strange happens. One particle falls in, the other escapes. And what escapes you feel now, a soft warmth on your cheek in the cold of space, gentle like breath on glass. That warmth is energy. And when energy leaves, the black hole loses mass. Ever so slowly, it begins to fade, not in a dramatic flash, but like fog dissolving in morning light. As if even gravity can grow tired. You think about time again. Hawking's whisper speaks not just of radiation, but of endings. Not everything, he said, is forever. Even a black hole, that gluttonous devourer of worlds, may one day vanish completely, leaving behind no crater, no ruin, just a memory of warmth and the whisper of once. But what becomes of the stories it held? What happens to the stars it swallowed? The information folded into its heart, the poems of physics that vanished into its silence? This is the paradox Hawking left behind, a trail of thought winding through the cosmos like stardust in classical physics. When something is consumed by a black hole, its information, the shape, the spin, the flavor of its particles, is lost forever, gone. But quantum mechanics resists this forgetting. It says information must remain. Not just metaphorically, but in the very code of reality. Like a book burned but not erased, its ashes still whisper the shape of what once was. So how can both things be true? Can black holes both evaporate and yet remember? Or do they, in their final sigh, scatter their secrets back into the void, not as stories, but as puzzles? You picture the last breath of a dying black hole. It doesn't explode. It glows, brighter and hotter with each passing moment, like a candle flaring one last time before it goes out. This final moment, so far from now you cannot measure it, is full of mystery. Does it end cleanly, or does it open a door? Some scientists imagine that information, twisted and stretched by gravity's grip, might be encoded in the very radiation Hawking described. Not lost, but scrambled, like ink dropped into water. Diffused, not erased. Others suggest the edge of the black hole, its event horizon, may act like a hologram, holding the record of everything that entered, like light caught in ice. There are those, too, who believe something deeper lies beneath. A fire, a fuzz, a foam of space-time, that stores all things in secret folds. And still, the black hole whispers. You begin to sense that maybe it's not just about physics. Maybe it's about memory itself, how the universe remembers, how it forgets, and how it sometimes lets go. You look again at the soft warmth around you. The radiation is real. It is not a metaphor. It is not poetry. It is energy. And it means the black hole is shrinking. Not fast, not today, but eventually. Eventually. One day, all the black holes in the universe will fade. The giants and galaxy cores. The remnants of collapsed stars. Even the invisible ones wandering the void. They will all exhale the last of themselves, like sighs at the end of time. And then you wonder, in that dark and distant tomorrow, when every black hole has vanished into quiet mist, what remains? The universe may be colder, quieter, but perhaps not empty. Perhaps these whispers become the seeds of something new. Perhaps the universe remembers the places it forgot. Perhaps, in the end, what matters is not what was swallowed, but what was shared in return. The echo fades, but you hold it still, a voice carried through silence. Hawking's whisper is not a warning, but a song about impermanence, about wonder, about the fragile persistence of meaning in the face of gravity's erasure. You close your eyes. The glow softens around you, no brighter than moonlight on snow. You float in a universe where even the most powerful things are not eternal, where even the deepest shadows leave behind warmth. And you ask yourself, if black holes can fade, if the universe can forget even them, what might be born in their place? Some say black holes swallow the past, crumpling memory like old paper. Others say the information hides, waiting to be rewritten in cosmic ink. You rest inside this question, your breath slow, your thoughts soft. Can something truly be gone if the universe remembers it differently? You drift now in the echo of something long gone. A ripple where time once flowed straight, but now curves and folds like a forgotten letter tucked deep in the pocket of the cosmos. You wonder, when a star falls into a black hole, when light bends inward and never returns, is it truly gone? The past feels like a distant breath. Not gone, but softened, stretched across space like mist. You imagine it as a painting underwater, the shape still there, but waving, blurring. You reach for it with your thoughts, slowly, delicately, as if touching something sacred. Black holes are often called erasers. Hungry, silent, merciless. They seem to take everything, mass, light, time, and vanish it, like a dream you can't quite remember. But is the dream gone? Or just hiding behind your waking thoughts? Stephen Hawking once whispered a new idea into the halls of science. That black holes may not erase everything after all. That they might glow softly, invisibly, leaking information in the faintest whisper of energy. Hawking radiation, he called it. Not a firework, a flicker, like a candle flame seen through fog. You picture a library filled with ancient scrolls. The black hole is not a thief that burns them. Perhaps it's more like a gatekeeper, tucking scrolls away, curling the ink with heat, but not quite destroying the message. The story lingers, broken into pieces, scattered in the radiation, like puzzle pieces blown into the wind. This idea is both comforting and haunting. Information, the record of what once was, cannot truly vanish, even if it's scrambled beyond recognition. Even if it takes the age of the universe to reassemble, the past may still be there. Somewhere, you float inside this possibility, a soft hum in your chest. Could every moment you've ever known, every glance, every breath, every heartbeat, be encoded in the particles that drift out from dying stars? Could the cosmos be a storyteller, weaving and unweaving the tapestry of time, never truly losing a thread? But others disagree. Some say when matter falls in, it's like ink spilled on parchment. The words smudged beyond repair, lost not just in form, but in meaning. A memory erased not by intention, but by pressure. Gravity's grip, too strong for clarity to survive. You pause here, at the edge of knowing. Your thoughts hang like dust in still light. What does it mean for something to be lost? Is it when you can't see it? When you can't prove it? Or when no echo remains in the mind of the universe? Inside black holes, space twists inward, but time may fold too. And with it, the very notion of cause and effect. Beginnings blur into endings. A question becomes its own answer, looping softly. Perhaps in this bending, the past doesn't vanish. It changes shape. A letter becomes a poem, a photograph, a song. You imagine standing at the event horizon, watching light dance on the edge, never falling in. In that light, does the past flicker? Do the particles that escape hold a trace of what once was? Not the form, but a fingerprint? Physicists debate this like monks pondering the soul. Some build firewalls at the boundary of black holes, energetic barriers that would burn information to ash. Others weave complex theories of holograms, where everything inside is projected on the surface, like shadows on a cave wall. In this holographic universe, nothing is truly gone, just transformed, re-encoded, waiting to be read from a different angle. It's a soft war, this question of the past. No explosions, only equations. No battles, only whispers. And you, dear traveler, you are floating among those whispers, the fabric of a universe draped around your shoulders like a shawl. You sense how delicate the difference is between erasure and transformation, between a silence that means emptiness and a silence that means listening. Perhaps a black hole is not a grave, but a womb, not an end, but a waiting. You close your eyes, not to sleep, but to see more clearly, to feel what the universe might be hiding, not from malice, but mystery. A particle falls inward. Its story doesn't vanish. It becomes rhythm, energy, a pattern stretched over eons, waiting for the right listener. You wonder if you are that listener. What if every past, yours, mine, the stars, is still here, encoded in light and spin and heat? What if memory is just a different form of matter? You breathe in this thought, slow and long, the kind of breath that makes you feel small, but safe. The kind of breath that reminds you, even the darkest places hold echoes. And so you drift deeper, not into forgetting, but into the idea that remembering is everywhere, even where we least expect it, even in the heart of silence. The past may not be lost. It may simply be waiting for the right question. And perhaps the next one begins like this. If black holes don't destroy but transform, then where exactly do they lead? Black holes might not just be endings. They may also be doors. Imagine space connecting through invisible tunnels, like roots beneath quiet earth. You drift through this possibility, half asleep and full of wonder. Where could a black hole take you, if not to nowhere, but to elsewhere? You lie still beneath a sky that feels heavy with time. The stars seem to hum with hidden stories, some old, some unfinished. And somewhere in the distance of imagination and physics, a question stirs. Could the universe bend not only around gravity, but through it? Tonight, you're not falling. You're floating slowly into the idea of wormholes. They sound like secrets whispered through space-time, tunnels that may connect two distant regions of the universe, not just in space, but in time, like shortcuts between galaxies or maybe even moments. You picture it now, a place where space curves so sharply it folds onto itself, like a piece of paper pinched and pierced by a single breath. And in that piercing, a hole, a passage, a possibility. This is no ordinary hole. It's a throat of space-time, a corridor lit not by light, but by possibility. Scientists call them Einstein-Rosen bridges, a name that stretches across decades of thought, born from the math of general relativity. These bridges suggest that space-time is not a sheet, but a fabric. And in certain places, this fabric might twist into knots, or tunnel into other regions of the cosmos. You think of the universe now like a forest, and black holes, perhaps like ancient trees, whose roots twist deep beneath the visible world. Could some of those roots connect? Could a black hole in one corner of the sky link to another hole far away, like the other end of a tunnel dug in reverse? It sounds like science fiction, and for now it mostly is, but the equations, elegant and persistent, suggest that if such a tunnel could exist, it would not be just a hole, but a bridge that bends space into story. But bridges need stability, and wormholes, by their nature, are fragile things. Most would collapse too quickly to travel through, unless Perhaps you had something strange, a kind of exotic matter with gravity that repels instead of pulls, a material that defies the ordinary rules of mass and pressure. The universe doesn't hand this out easily, but it does allow us to imagine it. So you keep imagining, not rushing, just wondering, floating on the idea that maybe, just maybe, one could drift into a black hole and instead of falling forever, emerge somewhere else. Where would you go? To a distant galaxy, spinning with foreign suns? To a younger version of Earth, when oceans were still learning to breathe? Or further into the future, where humanity might live among stars we haven't yet discovered? You feel a quiet thrill in this thought, because wormholes are not just bridges in space. They could be passages through time. And time, as you've seen before, is not always straight. It curls, stretches, dances around gravity like a ribbon in slow wind. In wormholes, the very structure time might warp. The entrance could be anchored to now, and the exit to then. And you, a traveler not bound by clocks, you feel the tug of wonder pulling you deeper into this tunnel. What would it feel like to enter such a passage? Not a violent tearing, but perhaps a gentle slipping, like stepping into water that remembers you, your body light, your thoughts calm, and around you, the walls shimmer with curving geometry. Inside the wormhole, you're neither here nor there, just somewhere in between. It feels like a dream you've half forgotten, a lullaby made of gravity and time. But of course, you whisper to yourself, we've never found one. We've only mapped their possibility in equations and hope. Still, hope is where all journeys begin. And science, too, is a kind of dreaming, a discipline, daring dreaming, where math becomes map and curiosity becomes compass. And who's to say what the future might discover? Some believe that advanced civilizations, perhaps millions of years ahead, could learn to build or stabilize wormholes. Like engineers of space-time, they could open the cosmic doors we now only peek through. And maybe, just maybe, they've already done it. And we are the ones catching their echoes, rippling softly through the vacuum. You close your eyes and feel yourself moving through the tunnel, not with fear, but with peace. It doesn't matter where it leads, only that it leads. A black hole, once thought to be the ultimate end, now whispers of new beginnings. And in that whisper is a question that glows softly inside you. What if the universe doesn't just trap things, but transports them? You float in this wondering, half dreaming, half awake. And as the imagined tunnel fades into starlight, you find yourself returning to the edges of sleep. But something lingers, a gentle thought. If wormholes are nature's hidden pathways, then could they also be its messages? Could the universe be writing letters in the folds of gravity, sending ideas through space and time? Like bottles drifting on a cosmic sea, the stars turn slowly above and black holes spin quietly in their dance. Though they seem to erase, perhaps they are keepers, silent archivists of light. You lie in stillness, comforted by the idea that nothing is ever truly gone. Even in the darkest places, the universe may still be remembering. You are floating slowly, as if wrapped in night's softest blanket. Above you, stars shimmer like distant thoughts, quiet, ancient, eternal. Each one pulses gently, like the slow beat of a slumbering heart. You close your eyes and listen, not with your ears, but with something deeper. You listen to space itself. Not the silence, but the soft memory that silence sometimes holds. Black holes, they say, are the most forgetful places in the cosmos. They pull in matter, time, and light, swallowing them into a shadowed throat from which nothing escapes. They seem final, absolute, like the end of a sentence with no more words to follow. But what if that's only how it looks? You drift closer, not to the black hole itself, but to the idea of it. A place where even time leans inward, where the past rushes forward and vanishes in one direction. You imagine it like a whirlpool in still water, pulling all currents toward its center, whispering stories into the deep. But what becomes of those stories? Do they truly vanish, or do they sink gently into the fold of something larger? Stephen Hawking once posed a question that lingers here in the dark with you. Can information ever truly be lost? According to the laws of quantum mechanics, the rules that govern the smallest things, we are told that information is never destroyed, not even when crushed by a black hole's gravity. Somehow, somewhere it is preserved, transformed, perhaps, hidden, certainly, but not gone. So you begin to picture black holes not as erasers, but as archivists, not destroyers of memory, but keepers of it. Imagine an ancient library, not paper and ink, but folded space and ghosted light. A black hole is a closed door, sealed tightly. But behind that door, perhaps the pages remain. Curled by gravity, scattered by time, yes, but still present, still readable, if only you had the right key. This idea, this soft rebellion against oblivion, is known as the black hole information paradox. For decades, it puzzled the brightest minds. One set of truths insisted that information must be destroyed inside a black hole. Another, equally strong, insisted that such destruction was impossible. The paradox became a dance, a whispering contradiction. But from that tension, something beautiful began to form. Some scientists suggested that information might not fall all the way in, that perhaps it clings to the black hole's event horizon, its surface, its skin, like a memory etched into the outer layer of darkness. This surface, known as a holographic principle, became a new way to think. What if all that is lost is secretly written on the edge? You find comfort in this metaphor, like secrets stitched into the lining of a coat, like dreams tucked beneath your pillow, like light still trapped in a photograph. Even after the moment has passed, the universe, it seems, may not be a place that forgets. It may simply be a place that remembers differently than you do. You drift further now, through soft molecular fog, space folding like gentle silk around you. You imagine atoms carrying imprints of every past interaction, photons remembering the last thing they touched. Even gravity, invisible and patient, recording the movement of all things in the slow script of time. Perhaps you, too, are made of memory. Not just brain and bone, but stardust shaped by ancient explosions. Not just moments of motion, but echoes of events that began long before Earth had oceans. Your very breath, right now, is stitched with atoms that once belonged to stars. Your heartbeat plays a rhythm started in a place beyond your sight. You are not separate from the universe's memory. You are part of it. In this slow realization, you exhale. Somewhere, far beyond your view, a black hole spins. It is quiet, not silent, but restrained. It hums at a frequency you cannot hear, a song of past encounters wrapped in invisible threads. Its event horizon, glowing faintly with Hawking radiation, leaks particles, tiny messengers of information, slow and uncertain. Hawking himself wondered if this leak, this gentle unraveling, might be how the universe keeps its records. Over vast time, a black hole shrinks, evaporates, and in that final mist, perhaps the story returns. Not all at once, not in order, but scattered like ash on a breeze, like syllables whispered across galaxies. You lie still. The thought is soothing. Nothing is truly gone. Somewhere, somehow, the story continues. The data is not lost. It is translated, like a language you have yet to learn, like a voice humming beneath the static of space. And perhaps that is how memory works in the cosmos, not held in perfect clarity, but in waves, not locked in permanence, but flowing like tides, soft, shifting, eternal. The stars, those gentle sentinels above, know this rhythm. They blink and burn, not to forget, but to transform, to cycle energy, to change form. And so you wonder, if a black hole remembers light in its own dark way, then maybe there's no true forgetting. Maybe everything that ever was still exists, just hidden, waiting. You let this idea cradle you. The past is not erased, only rewritten into subtler shapes. Maybe your own